Schedule 1 has blown up. Everywhere you look, people are posting Schedule 1 content, including god-tier automation setups that pump out more product than Amazon. If you're sitting there staring at your pathetic plants, wondering how on earth they got to that level of automation, fear not. This is Schedule 1 automation for dummies, where I'm going to strip it right back down to the basics and get you up to speed. As you progress through the game, you'll notice it becomes difficult to keep up with the demands of your drug fiends. To increase your profit and lessen the stress, the best thing to do is automate your farm. However, to automate your farm, you're going to need a few things first. You'll most definitely need money and supplies, but even then, you cannot start automating right away. You first need to purchase the bungalow and have access to the warehouse before automation is even an option. To purchase the bungalow, head to Ray's Real Estate located north of the map near the garage. You'll need $6,000 in your online account, so make sure you have deposited your cash before you get there. The difference between the bungalow and the apartment or motel building is that it allows for up to 5 workers. It also has its own delivery bay, which will be absolutely essential for easy setup. You'll find the bungalow near the Brown Apartments building, and if you head straight across the bridge from the basketball court, you'll spot the bungalow straight away. So to start automating in the bungalow, you'll need workers. Workers can be hired from the warehouse, which you'll find located in the docks region in the middle of the town. To access it, you'll first need to level up. You can only visit the warehouse between 6 PM and 6 AM as the warehouse is only open at night. If you haven't unlocked the warehouse yet, keep selling product until you're notified about the warehouse. In the warehouse, you'll find 3 people. For now, the most important is Manny, who you'll find at the top of the stairs. Manny allows you to hire new workers to get started on your first automatic farm. If you look over to the left wall, you'll see a brief summary of what each worker does and how much you need to pay them. Firstly, the cleaner, who picks up trash from the floor and empties your bins. The botanist takes care of plants, plants your seeds, waters them and harvests them. The handler, or the packager, packages your goods and can also move items from one place to the other. So for example, you can use the handler to move empty baggies from the shelf into a packaging station. And finally, the chemist, who can mix product with ingredients using the mixing stations. For the most basic automation setup, you'll only need 3 of these workers: 1 cleaner, 1 botanist and 1 handler. You'll also need cash to do this because each of these workers will have an initial signing on fee. They'll also require a daily wage. Your workers will not work without daily payment, and I'll show you exactly how to pay workers in the next step. For now, go ahead and speak to Manny and let him know you'd like to hire a cleaner, a botanist and a handler. For each one, select the bungalow as the location for the worker. Once done, head over to the bungalow and you'll see your workers standing outside. This is completely normal, they are not slacking, they will not start working or doing anything until you assign them a task and a bed. Each worker requires their own bed, which needs to be inside of the same building. So head to Dan's hardware store and pick up 1 bed for each of your workers. Once you have 3 beds, go ahead and place them in the bungalow. Keep in mind that workers can cause bugs when they don't have enough room to move about freely. So make sure there's always enough space between beds and objects such as shelving units and stations. Once your beds are placed, it's time to assign each worker to their own bed. To do this, just open up the clipboard from your inventory and head outside to the workers. Put your mouse over 1 worker and you'll see the option to manage the worker by pressing E. Once you do this, you'll notice an option to assign a bed to the worker. So go ahead and do this. Keep the clipboard open and walk over to the bed of choice. Click on the bed and it will assign it to the worker. Now you'll see on the clipboard that this bed is assigned to your worker. Repeat the process for each worker, ensuring that each one has their own bed. You'll also notice a briefcase spawning at the end of every bed. This is where you pay your workers. All workers are paid in cash, so at the end of every day, you'll need to insert the cash into each briefcase for your workers' services. If you put more than $200 or the daily payment fee in the briefcase, don't worry, this will carry over to the next day. So for example, if you put $400 inside, your worker will work for 2 days instead of 1. He won't just take the $400 and expect more the next day. If you have enough cash available, I recommend putting as much as you can into each briefcase so that your workers don't stop because they haven't been paid. So now you have 3 workers, each with their own beds, and it's time to put them to work. Let's go ahead and start with the first process of your farm, which is growing a plant, and for that you'll need the botanist. The botanist will add soil, plant seeds, water plants and cut them, as well as move the buds from the plant to a destination of your choice. We'll need a couple of things in order to put the botanist to work. Of course, you'll need a pot or a grow tent. For this example, I'm going to head to the warehouse and purchase 1 pot, a grow light, as well as a suspension rack. If you don't want to spend so much, you can just use a normal grow tent from Dan's Hardware. You will also need a place for your botanist to get their supplies from, so you'll need at least 1 shelving unit, some soil, any additives, so for example, if you like to add fertilizer, and of course, seeds. Try to purchase as many as you can at the time so that the shelf remains stocked for a long while. Head to your bungalow and place down your growing equipment or your grow tent in a suitable location. Keep in mind that the further away everything is, the slower the process will be. So I always like to keep everything close together to reduce the time that workers need to move from A to B. So it makes sense to ensure your growing supplies are close by to your plants. So I'm going to go ahead and put my shelf just here, a short walk away from my plant. On the shelf, I'm going to add my soil, my fertilizer and seeds of my choice. Next, you'll need to set up the automation and tell the game where supplies come from and what should be planted. To do this, go ahead and open your clipboard and highlight your plant pot, pressing E to manage it. You'll now see a new menu allowing you to assign seeds, additives and set a destination. Go ahead and select the seeds that you added as well as any additives like fertilizers. For now, leave the destination as is and we'll come back to that later. The final step is to tell the botanist where to get their supplies and where the pots are. To do this, head to the botanist and press E to manage them. Press the button next to supplies and select the shelving unit with your supplies. You should now see this reflected on the clipboard. Lastly, you'll need to assign a pot to the botanist. To do this, click the edit button next to pots/drying racks and select the pot. The botanist can manage up to 8 plants at a time, however in this basic setup we only have the 1 to worry about. Since you've now assigned your worker a bed, paid their daily fee, provided their supplies and given them a pot to manage, you should now see your botanist working. The botanist will now plant, water and fertilize your plant. Now remember, you'll need to keep your shelf stocked up so that your botanist never runs out of supplies. Now, the botanist isn't enough to keep the process flowing. The first thing you'll probably notice is that your botanist creates a mess, and mess doesn't clean itself. So of course, you'll now need to introduce the cleaner. The cleaner is much simpler and more straightforward to set up. All that's required for a cleaner to start working is of course a bed and a trash can. Go to Dan's Hardware and purchase at least 1 trash can. Go back to the bungalow and place the trash can nearby. To assign the trash can to the cleaner, open the clipboard and press E on the cleaner. Assign them a trash can in the same way you assigned items in the first step. You'll notice a green circle on the floor indicating the area that the cleaner will cover. As soon as you do this, your cleaner should begin cleaning straight away, and now the process is beginning to come together. You'll notice that once your plant is fully grown, nothing happens. And that's where the handler comes in. You'll want the handler to start packaging your weed so it's ready to sell. To do this, you'll of course need a packaging station, which you can buy from Dan's Hardware. Place a packaging station in a suitable location, keeping in mind the distance from the plant. Of course, the packaging station also requires its own supplies because it doesn't work without either baggies or jars. Just like the plant requires a supply shelf, the packaging station also requires some input. You'll need to add a shelving unit close by to the packaging station and fill it with supplies like baggies and jars. The handler doesn't automatically move the supplies from the shelving unit to the packaging station, so we'll need a way to do this automatically. This is where routes come in handy. You can create a route for the handler to move goods from one place to the other. To do this, manage the handler and select Create New Route. The from destination is of course the shelving unit and the to destination is the packaging station. Once you confirm this, the handler should immediately start moving baggies from the shelving unit to the packaging station. Again, you'll need to remember to keep this shelf stocked up so your process does not stop. So now we have our packaging station ready, we need to ensure the plant buds automatically move from the plant over to the packaging station. To do this, simply open the clipboard, press Manage and set the destination to the packaging station. Once you do this, your botanist will come in and start cutting your buds. Once done, she'll move them over to the packaging station and begin planting a new seed. Meanwhile, the cleaner will come in and collect any mess, and the process is starting to work. Now of course, once the packaging station has 20 buds or 20 filled baggies, it can't be filled anymore until they are removed. If the packaging station is full, the process will stop. So you'll need one final shelving unit to store your finished goods. Go ahead and place this somewhere close by. To get the packaged weed to move from the station to the shelving unit, open your clipboard, manage the packaging station and set the destination to the shelving unit. Now your buds are at the packaging station along with your baggies or jars, so the handler will need to start packaging it. To set this up, simply head over to the handler, press Manage and assign them to the station. As soon as you do this, your process is complete. The handler will now go ahead and package the buds from the plant, move them over to the shelving unit once they are packaged, ready for you to sell. The process will keep repeating for as long as your goods are stocked, so all you'll need to do to keep it running is remember a few things. Firstly, ensure every worker is paid their daily fee and has a bed. Secondly, ensure that your supplies for both the planting equipment like soil and seeds remain stocked up. The same applies for the packaging supply shelf, which will need to be filled with either baggies or jars. Lastly, ensure that you continue to empty the shelving unit of finished goods, because once it gets full, the process will stop. So now you have a completely working automated setup, so you can go ahead and start doing something else in the game and your plants will continue to grow and fill up your shelves. Of course, you can start introducing more plants, more shelving units, and eventually more products, but now you're equipped with the knowledge to take your automation to the next level. If you enjoyed this guide, please make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more content. And if this is not really your thing and you prefer playthroughs, be sure to check out Checkpoint Brinko on YouTube, who is doing an amazing playthrough of this game.